My name is Emily. I've been married to my husband, Jacob, for 11 years now. I've been a full-time housewife since we got married, raising our 2 boys. My husband works in construction, and many of his days consist of leaving early in the morning and coming home late. There were also times when he had to go to work, even on his days off, because he said he wouldn't make the deadline. As a result, I was mostly single-handedly responsible for raising our children. Our sons are 9 and 8 years old, both at an age where they're mischievous kids. Since they're boys, they're quite strong, and it was difficult to break up their fights. One day, when I finally got the boys to sleep and was resting, my husband came home. "You're late again today. You must be tired." As usual, I spoke to my husband and started preparing his dinner. Normally, he would come to the dining table immediately, but today he didn't. When I looked at him wondering why, he was looking guiltily at me. Seeing him like this, I had a bad feeling, but kept calm and asked him, "What's up all of a sudden?" Without lifting his head, he said to me,
"I really feel really guilty, Emily, and I'm sorry. The woman I cheated on you with is pregnant, so can we get a divorce?"
Well, it seems that my hunch was right. I had been suspicious of my husband's recent behavior and had suspected he might be cheating on me. However, I didn't expect that the woman he cheated with got pregnant. While being surprised by this, I said, "You can't just drop this on me. What about our sons? They're still in elementary school. How are we supposed to explain this to them?" I waited for his response, but he kept silent, looking down. Even though I tried to get him to talk, he remained silent and didn't move. Thinking this wasn't going anywhere, I suggested we talk the next day, as it was late, and went straight to bed. Then, the next day came. It was a holiday, and the children didn't have school. Once I confirmed that the kids went out to play, I spoke to my husband. "About what you said yesterday, by saying she's pregnant, you mean you've been cheating, right?"
"I'm really sorry. I know I did something wrong, but since she's pregnant, I guess I have to marry her. You're strong, Emily, and I'm sure you'll be fine even without me. You're a full-time housewife now, but I know you can raise our sons well even while working."
What are you talking about? Do you think I would agree to divorce you right now? I won't allow you to divorce me and be happy on your own by remarrying your mistress. It seemed like my husband assumed I would instantly agree to the divorce, and he was surprised when I refused. I was angry that his words of apology were not reflected in his actions. What really infuriated me, though, was the situation with our sons. The truth is, my eldest son is not my biological child, but my sister-in-law's son. She divorced 5 years ago and was raising her son all on her own. But she shoved him onto us, saying that having a child would be a disadvantage when she remarries. At first, I objected, but instead of getting mad at my sister-in-law, my husband and his mother thought it was a great idea, and so we ended up taking him in and raising him. My eldest son, Cameron, was 4 at the time, old enough to remember his mother. Despite that, he was terribly upset when he found out that I was suddenly his mother. "You're not my mom. Where's my real mom? Give her back." Cameron would say horrible things to me every day. When I got angry, even though he was only 4 years old, he would leave to my in-laws' house. Since we lived separately but still lived in the same property, it only took a few seconds to get there. But he shouldn't have gone without telling me, and every time Cameron went to my in-laws, I would get scolded by my mother-in-law. And looking at all this, my eldest son seemed to be enjoying himself. Even in such circumstances, I treated both my sons equally, thinking that as time went by, he would come to like me. But that didn't happen, and it seemed that he still disliked me. Gradually, he began to take his anger out not just on me, but also on his younger brother James. "Your mom's a bad guy. She sent my mom away somewhere. Being her kid, you don't deserve to play with toys." He would say things like that and take toys away from his younger brother. Even though I bought the same toys for both of them, he always wanted his younger brother's toys and would snatch them. As for my husband, he just watched TV and never scolded Cameron. Rather, he would selfishly get angry at the kids, saying,
"You're too noisy. I can't hear the TV."
Of course, I understood that he was busy with work, but I always thought that he could at least help out a little. There's no way I could take care of two boys in this situation. That's why I insisted on taking only my younger son with me as a condition when divorcing Jacob. If we're getting divorced, I'm taking James with me. Cameron is originally your sister's child, isn't he? If I divorce you, he won't be my responsibility anymore.
Isn't that a bit much? You've lived together for 5 years and Cameron is very attached to you, Emily. Are you going to separate him from James, his little brother, whom he's very close to?
Cameron is attached to me? The boys get along well? Are you seriously saying that? I was astounded at Jacob, who seemed to have no understanding of his own family situation. How can he say that Cameron is attached to me? As for the boys, it's not always Cameron's fault, but they argue every single day. Cameron is already strong now, and I don't think I'll be able to handle once he grows up. Anyway, if we divorce, I'm taking James with me. You can take care of Cameron. Then we can cancel out the child support.
Okay.
I've reached an agreement with Jacob. All that's left is to demand the division of property from Jacob. The next day, after sending the boys off to school, I decided to consult a lawyer and a private investigator immediately. In the discussion with the lawyer, since Jacob admits to his affair, I was told that I can definitely claim the division of property. The amount of the division of property will be determined by the evidence from the detective agency. I returned home and waited for a call from the detective agency, while steadily preparing for the divorce. 2 weeks later, the detective agency contacted me that the evidence was ready, and I arranged to meet with the person in charge of my lawyer. They only had to investigate twice, but the evidence was quickly gathered. Furthermore, it seemed that there were times when Jacob, Cameron, and the mistress were all out together. Although I had agreed with Jacob that he would take Cameron, I was surprised that he was introducing his mistress to Cameron without my knowledge. As for Jacob's behavior, I had been thinking that he was coming home late because he was constantly working overtime, but it appears I was mistaken. Although I had some suspicions, I never thought he would continue his affair even after confessing it to me. Thanks to that, I was able to gather evidence, and now I can get a divorce in a way that's more advantageous to me. While looking at the evidence with my lawyer, we decided to send a certified letter to his mistress. That night, I showed Jacob the evidence from the detective agency and the certified letter prepared by the lawyer. I have solid evidence of your affair. I've also sent a certified letter to your mistress. If you agree to pay the division of property, I can grant you a divorce right now.
Really? It's been a while since we talked about divorce. I was worried about whether we could really get a divorce, but I'm relieved. The division of property? What do you mean? why did you collect evidence when I honestly told you about the affair?
Because you're the one who had an affair. You're responsible for the divorce, right? I think it's only natural to pay the division of property. It seems that Jacob thought that if he honestly reported his affair, everything would be fine. How pathetic of him. No matter how much I explain, he doesn't seem to understand at all. I thought it would be pointless to explain at this pace, so I decided to have a lawyer explain it again to him later on. A few days later, as I was doing household chores as usual, I received a call from an unknown number. I thought it might be Jacob's mistress, but it was actually my sister-in-law, Sarah. Emily, it's been a while. I heard from Cameron and wanted to call you. You're getting divorced, aren't you? Surely Cameron will be taken by you, right? Sarah, long time no see. What? Have you heard from Cameron even though I haven't told the children yet? I'm sorry, but Jacob and I have decided that Cameron will be taken by Jacob. Oh, so that's why Cameron was crying. Emily, I hate to say this, but isn't that cruel? I heard from Jacob. And Cameron and James are good friends, right? And yet you're separating the two of them. I was frustrated by Sarah's selfish remarks, but I was even angrier at Jacob for lying to her. Sarah, you are mistaken. Cameron and James are always fighting, and they're not getting along well. Anyway, if the boys already know about the divorce, I must explain it properly. I'm hanging up now. Wait a minute. I hung up the phone without listening to what Sarah was trying to say. And then I waited for my sons to come home. A few hours later, my sons came home and I was about to explain, but Cameron spoke first. Please, take me with you too. You knew, didn't you? But you went out with Jacob and his mistress, right? You seemed to be enjoying yourself. Despite that, what's wrong with being with Jacob? I hate him. His tone of voice is scary, and my belongings and clothes all have a strange smell. I feel sick when I'm with him. Could the strange smell be the perfume? I had noticed a sweet smell on Jacob's clothes before, but I thought it was from a coworker. Now I realize it must have been his mistress's perfume. But Cameron, you're always mean to James, and you two often fight. I can't break up the fights you have with each other forever. Besides, I thought you hated me. You want to go with someone you hate instead of Jacob? Emily, I want to go with you, Mom. I regret what I've done before, and I promise I'll be good, please. Cameron pleaded like that, crying. I was happy that he called me Mom for the first time. Mom, please, take my brother too. We'll be good, please. After hearing this from my sons, I had no choice but to agree. I was anxious, but we had lived together for 5 years, and I had always wanted Cameron to call me Mom, so I was happy. I immediately told the lawyer that I wanted to take both of my sons. The lawyer's instructions were to discuss child support with Jacob. Then I spoke to Jacob when he returned from work. After all, I'm taking Cameron with me.
What are you talking about now? I've introduced him to Erica, and it's a problem if you say that.
I've informed the lawyer about this. It may be too late, but Cameron wants to come with me. Cameron is 10 years old, so his wishes should be respected. Anyway, we're going to discuss the compensation as well the day after tomorrow, so please ask any questions then. Make sure you tell your mistress to come properly. Jacob was angry about Cameron, but didn't say anything in particular, and our conversation ended. The day after tomorrow. The day of the discussion came. Although we were supposed to go to the same destination, Jacob left first. He must be going to pick up his mistress. After confirming that Cameron and James had gone out to play, I headed to the office alone. When I arrived at the lawyer's office, as expected, Jacob and his mistress were already there, sitting on the sofa like a couple. Seeing the affair partner for the first time other than in pictures, I was surprised that her belly was more bigger than I had imagined. Although it's only been about a month since I heard she was pregnant, it looked like she would give birth in another 2 to 3 months. I thought Jacob must have been hiding it from me, but I decided to proceed with the conversation without worrying about it. As you can see from the content certificate, I will claim damages for this affair from both of you. Also, I will take custody of my sons, so I will also claim child support from Jacob.
What's a content certificate? What does compensation mean? Am I getting it? I came here because I heard you two were getting divorced today, right?
Jacob's mistress, Erica, seemed to have not read the content certificate. It did feel a bit strange, because she had received the content certificate but there was no contact from her, and her attitude today did not seem like someone who thought she was going to be asked for compensation. You have to pay the damages for having an affair with Jacob. Neither Jacob nor Erica seemed to understand, but after an explanation from the lawyer, they finally seemed to grasp the situation. Both Jacob and Erica became frantic.
It's impossible. I can't pay. I'm pregnant, you know. I resigned from my company because I said I'm getting married and I don't have any savings.
That's right. Compensation and child support, there's no way we can pay that. That's it. We can offset the child support with a child that Erica is pregnant with and the 2 kids, Cameron and James.
Did Jacob not realize that he was making an outrageous statement? I didn't think that he was completely unaware about what would happen in divorce and compensation to this extent. Why would I offset child support for a child that's not mine? It's completely unrelated.
But if I have to pay both compensation and child support, I won't be able to live. My baby will be born soon and I won't have any money to prepare.
That has nothing to do with me. Anyway, please take responsibility for having an affair. The lawyer took out documents related to compensation and child support and showed them to Jacob and Erica. I had asked the lawyer to make a notarized document to ensure that it would be paid properly. Upon seeing the amount recorded on the document, the two were even more astonished and turned pale. It's no wonder they were shocked, since they were requested for an amount higher than what they had imagined.
I can't pay this amount. If I pay this much every month, I won't be able to live.
I knew you would say that, but if you don't agree to the compensation and child support, I won't divorce you. Erica seemed more anxious than he was. The one who would be most troubled if we don't divorce must be Erica. As if to add salt to the wound, there was someone else being called here. That person should be coming soon, I believe.
Excuse me.
Mom, why are you here?
I had, of course, explained to my mother-in-law Mary what Jacob had done. Initially, I thought she was my enemy because she told me to raise Cameron. Mary, who is not physically strong, judged that she couldn't raise a boy and asked me to take care of Cameron. She cared about Cameron and did come to help me out. I realized later that she got angry at me because she cared about him. Mary has always been strict and hates dishonesty. Jacob had always been intimidated by her and never had a rebellious phase. So I asked for her cooperation this time and had her come today.
Jacob, what have you done? It's natural to pay compensation and child support. Don't fuss. Are you aware of what you've done?
Mom, Erica's here. Stop it.
What? Erica? Stop fooling around. Don't ever come across my house again.
Both Jacob and Erica were completely intimidated by Mary's power. Erica began to cry and apologize.
I'm sorry. I'll sign to pay the compensation, so please just let me go home.
I promise to pay too.
Thanks to Mary's power, I was able to get them to promise to pay the compensation. Of course, I also got Jacob to agree to pay child support. This settled things, and on the way home, Mary and I went to pick up our sons and had our first meal out for Cameron. After that, there were payments from Jacob and Erica for compensation, but since Erica said she had no savings, her parents covered for it. I heard a rumor that the two married but continued to fight over money, and Jacob cheated again, leading to a quick divorce. In addition, Erica had to work from morning to night, leaving her baby with her parents, to pay back the money she borrowed from them. Jacob, having cheated twice, lost trust within his company and was demoted to a department where those about to be laid off were sent. His salary also decreased, and he's reportedly struggling financially. As for me, I ended up adopting Cameron as a special adopted child, and I feel like I've become his mother officially, and he became my official son. Cameron has kept his promise and has become a much better older brother than before. We still live in the house we used to live in, and I occasionally go out to eat with Mary. I want to continue living happily with my sons.